Looking at you disgusts me. I can't pretend anymore after 16 years. Those words hit me like a sledgehammer as I stood in my own kitchen, still holding my work bag. My wife had just delivered the most brutal sentence of our marriage, and honestly, I wasn't even that surprised. The day had started normally enough. I'd gotten up at 6, made coffee, checked emails, and headed to work like any other Wednesday. Nothing unusual happened at the office. No big meetings, no drama. Just another day managing logistics for a mid-sized distribution company. I even stopped at the grocery store on the way home to pick up the ingredients she'd texted me about for dinner. But the moment I walked through the front door, I could feel the tension. She was standing by the kitchen island, arms crossed. That look on her face that I'd learned to recognize over the years. The look that meant I was about to get blamed for something I didn't even know I'd done wrong. What started it? The usual stuff. I'd apparently loaded the dishwasher wrong again. Left my coffee mug in the sink instead of putting it directly in the washer. Forgot to pick up the dry cleaning that she'd mentioned in passing 3 days ago. Normal married couple stuff, or so I thought. But then she escalated. Fast. Started talking about how I never listen, how I don't appreciate what she does around the house, how I'm always distracted when she tries to talk to me. The volume kept rising, and I found myself doing what I always did, trying to de-escalate, apologizing for things I wasn't even sure I'd done, promising to do better. That's when she dropped the bomb. Looking at you disgusts me. I can't pretend anymore after 16 years. The kitchen went dead silent. Even the refrigerator seemed to stop humming. I set my work bag down slowly, processing what she'd just said. 16 years. Our entire marriage reduced to disgust and pretending. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something clicked. Not sadness, not anger, not desperation. Just clarity. Pure, cold clarity. Pretending is over, I said quietly. The way her expression changed told me everything. She'd expected tears, begging, promises to change, the whole desperate husband routine. Instead, I just stood there, calm as still water, looking at her like I was seeing her for the first time. What's that supposed to mean? She asked, but her voice had lost that confident edge from 30 seconds before. I didn't answer right away. I was thinking, really thinking for the first time in months, maybe years, about all those little comments she'd been making. How she'd roll her eyes when I told stories at parties. How she'd correct me in front of her family. How she'd stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped touching me casually, stopped treating me like someone she actually wanted to be around. It means exactly what you think it means, I finally said. She started backtracking immediately. Look, I didn't mean it like that. I was just frustrated. You know how I get when I'm stressed. But I wasn't buying it anymore. You don't accidentally tell someone they disgust you. Those words don't just slip out during a fight about dishwashers. That's something you've been thinking for a while. No, I said, my voice still calm. You meant exactly what you said. And you know what? I believe you. The panic in her eyes was almost satisfying. Almost. She realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross, said something she couldn't take back. And my reaction wasn't what she'd scripted in her head. We should talk about this when we're both calmer, she said, reaching for damage control. I am calm, I replied. Calmer than I've been in years, actually. I picked up my work bag and walked toward the stairs. Not storming off, not slamming doors, just walking. Like a man who'd finally made a decision he should have made a long time ago. Where are you going? She called after me. To think, I said without turning around. Something I should have done more of. As I headed upstairs, I could hear her moving around the kitchen, probably trying to figure out how to spin this, how to make it my fault somehow. But for the first time in our marriage, I didn't care what she was thinking or planning, because pretending was over. She'd said it herself, and I was about to show her exactly what that meant. The next morning, I woke up with perfect clarity. No regret, no second guessing, just a cold understanding of what needed to happen. She was already downstairs making coffee when I came down, acting like nothing had happened. Classic move. Good morning, she said, all sunshine and fake smiles. I made your favorite. I poured myself a cup and sat down. We need to discuss some things. About last night, I told you I was just stressed. You know I didn't mean. Stop. I held up my hand. We both know you meant every word. And honestly, I'm glad you finally said it. The confusion on her face was almost comical. She'd probably spent all night figuring out how to manipulate this situation back to normal, and I wasn't playing along. My phone buzzed. Text from her brother. Family dinner Sunday. Mom's making pot roast. Don't disappoint her again. Don't disappoint her again. That was rich, coming from a 34-year-old man whose student loans I'd been helping pay off for the last 8 years. Your family dinner this Sunday, I said, showing her the text. Interesting tone from your brother. She grabbed the phone, read it, and her face went pale. He's just, you know how he is. Actually, I don't think I do know. Why don't you explain it to me? The silence stretched out. I could practically see the wheels turning in her head, trying to figure out how much I knew. It's nothing. He's just protective of the family. Protective from what? Me. More silence. Then she made her mistake. Look, maybe I've vented to them a few times. That's what families do. We talk. Vented. That was an interesting word choice. What exactly did you vent about? Just normal married couple stuff. You know, how you can be sometimes. How I can be sometimes. I took a sip of coffee and studied her face. She was squirming now, realizing she'd walked into something she couldn't walk out of. Give me specifics. It's not important. Family just talks, that's all. But I knew her tells after 16 years. The way she avoided eye contact when she lied. How she touched her neck when she was nervous. She'd been doing a lot more than venting. Sunday came, and I decided to pay attention. Really pay attention to how her family treated me. We walked into her parents' house, and immediately I noticed something different. Her father barely looked at me when he shook my hand. Her mother was overly polite, the kind of politeness you show to someone you're forced to tolerate. But it was her brother who really gave it away. So, he said, clapping me on the shoulder with fake friendliness, how's work going? Still pushing papers around. I'd been in logistics management for 12 years. He knew exactly what I did. It's going well. Just closed a major contract with a new distributor in Texas. That's nice, he said dismissively. Real men build things, you know? Create something tangible. Real men. Coming from a guy who dropped out of 2 different master's programs and was currently finding himself through some online marketing scheme. During dinner, I watched. Really watched. How they talked to me versus how they talked to each other. How they made subtle digs about my job, my hobbies, my opinions. How my wife just sat there, nodding along, or even joining in. Then her father dropped the bomb. We've been thinking about expanding the restaurant, he said. Business is picking up, and we could use a bigger space. Her parents owned a small diner that barely broke even most months. I knew because I'd been helping with their temporary financial problems for the last 5 years. That sounds expensive, I said carefully. Well, her mother jumped in. We were hoping you might want to invest. You know, be part of the family business. Part of the family business that I'd already pumped $23,000 into over the years. Money that was supposed to be paid back, but somehow never was. We could make you a partner, her brother added. Give you a real stake in something meaningful. A real stake in a failing diner. After years of treating me like I wasn't good enough to breathe their air. Let me think about it, I said. On the drive home, my wife was unusually quiet. Finally, she spoke up. They really do appreciate everything you've done for the family. Do they? Of course they do. Why would you ask that? Because your brother just told me real men build things, implying I don't. Your father could barely look at me. And your mother talked to me like I was a stranger. You're being paranoid. Am I? What exactly have you told them about our marriage? The car got very quiet. We were almost home when she finally answered. I might have mentioned that you've been distant lately. Not as engaged as you used to be. Distant. Not engaged. Translation, she'd been painting me as a bad husband for months, maybe years. What else? Nothing important. But I knew there was more. Much more. And I was going to find out exactly what my loving wife had been saying about me behind my back. Because if pretending was over, it was over for everyone. Monday morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called in sick to work. Not because I was actually sick, but because I had research to do. Real research. My wife left for her part-time job at the boutique, chattering about some sale they were having, acting like Sunday dinner hadn't happened. Like the last few days were just a minor hiccup in our perfect marriage. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. First stop, our home office. The filing cabinet she always told me not to worry about because she handled all the family paperwork. How considerate of her. I found the restaurant investment documents first. What I thought was a simple loan to help them through tough times was actually a series of investments totaling $47,000 over 5 years. $47,000. Not the 23 I'd been keeping track of. But here's the interesting part. According to these papers, I was listed as a silent partner in several family ventures. Her brother's failed food truck business. Her father's attempt at a catering company. Even a small real estate investment I'd apparently made in her mother's name. Silent partner. That explained a lot. I got to pay for everything, but I had no say in anything. I photographed every document with my phone. Bank statements, loan applications, investment agreements. All with my signature, my credit score, my money. None with my actual input or knowledge of the terms. Then I found the text messages. She'd left her iPad on the desk, synced to her phone. 3 years of family group chat right there on the screen. And what I read made everything crystal clear. He's being difficult again about money. That was from 8 months ago. Just remind him it's for family. Guilt trip him if you have to. Her mother's response. Does he suspect anything about the restaurant numbers? Her brother, 2 months ago. No, he's too trusting. Just keep him focused on the next investment. Too trusting. They had that right. The messages went back years. Detailed conversations about how to handle me, what stories to tell, how to make me feel guilty or obligated. They'd been managing me like a business resource. Tell him Dad's health is getting worse. He always falls for the family emergency angle. Make sure he doesn't see the actual profit reports. The lunch crowd has been huge lately. If he starts asking questions, just have a fight about something else. Distract him. Distract him. Is that what yesterday was? A distraction technique? I kept scrolling. Found messages about my job, my personality, my habits. All of it dismissive, mocking, calculating. He thinks he's so smart with his logistics job. Can't even see he's being played. Mom, you should see how he gets excited explaining his little work projects. It's actually pathetic. At least he's useful. Most boring men aren't this generous. Most boring men. My loving wife, talking about me like I was a walking ATM with inconvenient emotions attached. But the real prize was a message thread from last month. Her brother had apparently asked why she stayed married to someone she clearly didn't respect. Her response? Because he's financially stable and doesn't ask too many questions. Plus, divorcing him would mean splitting assets. This way, everything flows to us and he thinks it's his idea. I sat back in my chair, staring at that message. 16 years. 16 years of marriage, and I was nothing more than a financial strategy to her. My phone rang. Her name on the screen. Hey babe, how are you feeling? Still sick. Getting better, I said. Good. Listen, Dad called. They're having some cash flow problems with the restaurant. The equipment repair was more expensive than expected. Think we could help them out? Just a few thousand to get through the month. A few thousand. After I'd just discovered they'd been playing me for nearly 50,000 over the years. How much exactly? Maybe 5, 6 at the most. You know they're good for it. Good for it. I looked at the stack of documents showing they'd never paid back a single loan. Let me check our accounts and get back to you. You're the best. Love you. Love me. Right. After she hung up, I spent the next 2 hours going through every financial document in the house. Bank statements, credit card bills, investment accounts, insurance policies. Building a complete picture of exactly how much this family had cost me over the years. The number was staggering. Between direct loans, investments, co-signing for loans, covering emergency expenses, and paying for family vacations I was guilt-tripped into funding, they'd extracted over $80,000 from our marriage. $80,000 that could have paid off our mortgage early, could have funded real vacations for us, could have been retirement savings or home improvements or anything except propping up people who talked about me like I was their personal bank. But the money wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was reading how they really felt about me, how my wife really felt about me. He's so predictable. Wave the family card, and he opens his wallet. Sometimes I feel bad about how easy it is. Don't feel bad. He gets to feel important, and we get what we need. Win-win. Win-win. Sure, I win the privilege of being financially drained by people who don't respect me. I made copies of everything, uploaded photos to a secure cloud account, downloaded the text message history. If this was going to be war, I was going to be prepared. My wife came home around 5, full of energy and fake concern. Feeling better? You look much better. I am better. Actually, I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. She missed the warning in my tone completely. Good. So about Dad's situation. I've been thinking about that too. And I looked at her standing in our kitchen, expecting me to hand over more money to people who'd been laughing at me behind my back for years. I think it's time we had a serious conversation about our finances. The smile faltered just a little. What do you mean? I mean, it's time we talked about where our money has been going. All of it. Now the smile was completely gone. What are you talking about? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. For the first time since this whole thing started, I saw real fear in her eyes. Not annoyance, not frustration. Fear. Because she knew. She knew I'd figured it out. And she was right to be afraid. She tried to play dumb. I don't know what you're implying. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. I pulled out my phone and started reading. Quote, he's financially stable and doesn't ask too many questions. Plus, divorcing him would mean splitting assets. This way, everything flows to us and he thinks it's his idea. End quote. The color drained from her face. She knew exactly where that quote came from. You went through my private messages? I went through our financial records. Your messages just happened to be synced to the iPad you left open on the desk. That's a violation of privacy. So is stealing $80,000 from your husband over 5 years. She sat down hard in the kitchen chair. It wasn't stealing. It was helping family. Helping family by lying to me about the amounts? By hiding profit reports? By treating me like your personal ATM while mocking me behind my back? We never mocked you. I scrolled through more messages and read aloud. Quote, sometimes I feel bad about how easy it is. Don't feel bad. He gets to feel important and we get what we need. Win-win. She put her head in her hands. You don't understand the context. I understand it perfectly. You've been running a con on me for years and your whole family was in on it. It's not like that. Then explain what it is like. Explain why your brother treats me like garbage while living off money I earned. Explain why your parents act like I'm beneath them while I pay their bills. Explain why my wife tells her family I disgust her while asking me for more money the next day. She couldn't, because there was no explanation that made any of this acceptable. What do you want? She asked quietly. I want you to pack a bag and go stay with your parents for the weekend. What? No, this is my house too. Actually, it's not. Check the deed. My name only. My down payment. My mortgage payments. Her eyes widened. She'd apparently never bothered to check who actually owned our house. You can't just kick me out. I'm not kicking you out. I'm asking you to give me space to think. Unless you'd prefer I call your parents right now and ask them about those restaurant profit reports you've been hiding from me. The threat hit home. If I exposed their scam to each other, the whole family dynamic would collapse. Fine, but we need to talk about this rationally. We will, after I've had time to process everything I learned today. She went upstairs to pack, muttering about how I was being unreasonable and dramatic. I used that time to make some phone calls. First call, my credit card company. I need to report my cards as potentially compromised. Yes, I'll need new account numbers for all of them. Second call, my bank. I need to remove someone from my accounts who may have been making unauthorized transactions. Can we set up new accounts? Third call, my insurance company. I need to review my beneficiary information and make some changes. By the time she came downstairs with her suitcase, the first phase was already in motion. This is ridiculous, she said. We're married. We can work through this. Can we? After 16 years of lies and manipulation, everyone has problems in their marriage. Not everyone treats their spouse like a business transaction. She tried a different approach. What about the restaurant situation? Dad really does need help. Your dad can figure out his own business problems. I'm done being the family bank. You're being cruel. Cruel. That was rich, coming from someone who'd spent years systematically deceiving me. I'm being smart. For the first time and apparently forever. After she left, I got back to work. Real work this time. I called the attorney who'd handled our house purchase years ago, scheduled an appointment for Monday morning. Then I started going through every single financial document, every contract, every investment with a fine-tooth comb. The restaurant partnership agreement was my favorite. According to the terms I'd apparently agreed to, I was liable for business debts, but had no voting rights on business decisions. I was literally just a source of money with no actual say in how that money was used. But here's the thing about contracts. They work both ways. And some of these contracts had clauses they'd probably forgotten about, like the clause that said any partner could withdraw from the business with 30 days notice, or the clause that said if fraudulent activity was discovered, all previous transactions could be voided. Saturday morning, I drove to the restaurant. Early, before they opened. Her father was there prepping for the day. Oh, hello, he said, clearly surprised to see me. Where's my daughter? At your house, I believe. We're having some communication issues. Marriage is hard work, he said dismissively. You can't just run away when things get difficult. Run away. Coming from a man who'd been running away from his financial responsibilities for years. I wanted to discuss our business arrangement. His face changed. What about it? I've been reviewing the paperwork. Interesting reading. Everything's been handled properly. Has it? Because according to my records, the restaurant has been profitable for the last 18 months. But according to what I've been told, you're barely breaking even. Silence. I also noticed that my partnership investment was supposed to guarantee me monthly profit reports. I haven't received a single one. More silence. So I'm exercising my right to a full financial audit, as outlined in Section 12 of our agreement. Now he was paying attention. That's not necessary. We can work something out. I'm sure we can. Right after the audit. I left him standing there, probably trying to figure out how to explain 3 years of hidden profits to his family. Sunday, I spent the day at home, planning. Really planning. Not the kind of wishful thinking I'd been doing for years, but actual strategic planning. Every financial vulnerability they'd created for themselves. Every legal exposure. Every lie they'd have to maintain to keep their story straight. By Sunday night, I had a complete action plan. Phone calls to make, papers to file, accounts to close, agreements to terminate. My wife called around 9. Can we please talk about this like adults? We can talk. When you're ready to tell me the truth about everything. I have told you the truth. No, you've told me the version of the truth that keeps the money flowing. There's a difference. Fine. Come over and we'll discuss it. No, you come home. We'll discuss it here. Why does it have to be at the house? Because the house was mine. Because I was done being summoned to family meetings where I was treated like an outsider. Because this time, they were going to be on my territory. Because that's where I am. She sighed. I'll be there in an hour. Perfect. That gave me just enough time to prepare the paperwork I was going to show her. Starting with the divorce papers I downloaded and filled out. Because if she thought this was about saving our marriage, she was about to learn how wrong she was. This was about ending it. On my terms. With my dignity intact. And with consequences she'd never anticipated. She walked through the front door like she was entering enemy territory. Good. She should feel uncomfortable. This was no longer her safe space where she could manipulate and control. So, she said, sitting across from me at the dining table. What exactly do you want to discuss? I slid a folder across the table. Start with these. She opened it and went pale. Divorce papers. Completed, signed, ready to file. You're serious about this? Dead serious. Over some family financial stuff? This is insane. Some family financial stuff. She still didn't get it. It's not about the money. It's about the lies. The manipulation. The complete lack of respect for me as a person. I never said I didn't respect you. I pulled out my phone and started reading her messages again. This time the really brutal ones. Quote, he's actually pathetic when he gets excited about his work projects. Quote, most boring men aren't this generous. Quote, he's so predictable. Wave the family card and he opens his wallet. Each quote hit like a physical blow. She couldn't meet my eyes. Those were private conversations. People say things they don't mean when they're frustrated. For 3 years? You've been saying things you don't mean for 3 years. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You've been lying to me, stealing from me, and mocking me. The only thing complicated is how long it took me to figure it out. My phone rang. Her brother's name on the screen. Don't answer that, she said quickly. Why not? I answered it anyway. Hello. We need to talk. Now. His voice was tight with panic. About what? About this audit bullshit you're pulling at the restaurant. You can't just. Actually, I can. Check the partnership agreement. Section 12. Look, maybe we got our wires crossed about some of the numbers, but got your wires crossed? Is that what we're calling fraud now? My wife was making frantic gestures, trying to get me to hang up. Nobody committed fraud. We just managed the information differently. Managed the information by hiding 18 months of profits while asking me for emergency loans. Silence on the other end. Here's what's going to happen. You have 2 weeks to produce complete financial records for every business I've invested in. Every receipt, every bank statement, every tax return. Or I file fraud charges. You can't be serious. Try me. I hung up. My wife looked like she was going to be sick. You're destroying my family. Your family destroyed itself. I'm just refusing to pay for the damage anymore. They need that money. The restaurant is struggling. No, it's not. It's been profitable for over a year. I've seen the real numbers. She started crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative kind. Please, we can fix this. I'll talk to them. Make them apologize. Apologize for what? For taking my money? For lying to me? For treating me like garbage while I supported them? For all of it. Whatever you want. I want a divorce. You don't mean that. I absolutely mean that. The only question is whether this gets ugly or stays civil. She wiped her eyes. What do you mean? I slid another folder across the table. Financial audit results, bank records, text message transcripts, everything documented and organized. She looked through the papers, her face getting paler with each page. This looks like evidence for a court case. Because that's exactly what it is. Unless we handle this quietly. What do you want? Clean divorce. No alimony. You keep your personal belongings and your car. Everything else stays with me. That's not fair. I'm entitled to half of everything. You're entitled to half of what we built together, not half of what you and your family stole from me. A judge won't see it that way. Want to bet? Because I've got documentation of every fraudulent transaction, every lie, every manipulation. How do you think that's going to play in court? She was quiet for a long time, processing the situation. My family will never forgive me if I don't fight this. Your family got you into this mess. Maybe it's time to stop caring what they think. You don't understand. They're my family, and I was your husband. Past tense. My phone started ringing again. Her father this time. Don't answer it, she begged. I answered anyway. Hello. What the hell do you think you're doing? He was furious. You can't just show up at my business making demands. I can when it's my business too. Check the partnership papers. This is family. We don't treat family like this. You're right. Family doesn't lie to each other. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't mock each other behind their backs. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait. You've got 2 weeks to come clean about every penny, or this goes public. And legal. You're making a big mistake. The only mistake I made was trusting you people for 16 years. I hung up again. My wife was shaking. They're going to blame me for this. Good. Maybe you'll finally understand how it feels to be blamed for something that isn't your fault. This is my family we're talking about. And this is my life we're talking about. My money, my dignity, my future. What am I supposed to do? Whatever you want. But you're doing it without me. She sat there for another 10 minutes, crying quietly. Finally, she looked up. If I sign the papers, what happens to my family? That depends on them. If they cooperate with the audit and pay back what they owe, we can keep this civil. If they want to fight, I've got lawyers ready to go. And if I don't sign, then this gets very expensive and very public for everyone involved. She knew she was trapped. No good options, no way to manipulate her way out of this. I need time to think. You have until Friday. After that, I file the papers regardless. She gathered up her things and headed for the door. This isn't how marriages are supposed to end. You're right. They're supposed to end with mutual respect and shared grief over what could have been. But you gave up that option when you decided to treat me like an ATM instead of a husband. After she left, I sat in the quiet house, feeling lighter than I had in years. No more walking on eggshells. No more wondering why I never felt good enough. No more financing people who despised me. My phone buzzed with texts from her family. Angry messages, guilt trips, threats, pleas for understanding. I deleted every one without reading them completely. Because for the first time in 16 years, what they thought didn't matter. What they wanted didn't matter. Only what I decided mattered. And I'd already decided. It was over. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my home office reviewing quarterly reports from my new investment portfolio. The house is quiet, clean, and completely mine. No drama, no manipulation, no family emergencies that require immediate financial intervention. She signed the papers on Friday. Didn't even try to negotiate. The family audit revealed everything I expected. $83,000 in hidden profits, fraudulent expense reports, and business loans taken in my name without my knowledge. The restaurant had been pulling in solid money for 2 years while crying poverty to me. Her brother lost the food truck when I pulled my investment. Turns out it wasn't failing like they claimed. They were just funneling profits into other ventures. Without my backing, the whole house of cards collapsed. Her parents had to sell the restaurant. Couldn't make the payments without my monthly contributions. Last I heard, her father got a job at a chain restaurant, doing the same work he used to be too proud for. She's living in a 1-bedroom apartment across town, working full-time for the first time in years. No more boutique job that was basically hobby income while I covered the real bills. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks ago. Clean and simple, just like I wanted. She got her car, her clothes, and the debt she'd run up on credit cards I didn't know about. I kept the house, the investments, the retirement accounts, and most importantly, my dignity. My phone rings. Unknown number, but I recognize her brother's voice immediately. Look, maybe we can work something out. About the restaurant situation. I almost laugh. There's nothing to work out. You had your chance to be honest. Dad's having health problems. The stress from losing the business. Stop. Just stop. I cut him off. You played this game for years. The guilt trips, the family emergency angle, all of it. I'm done. You used to care about this family. I cared about people I thought existed. Turns out they were just characters you created to manipulate me. So that's it. You're just going to let us struggle. You're not struggling because of me. You're struggling because you spent years lying instead of building something real. Silence on the other end. You've changed. No, I just stopped pretending along with everyone else. I hang up and block the number. The 5th one I've blocked this month. Tomorrow, I start vacation. 2 weeks in Colorado, mountains and hiking trails. Something I've wanted to do for years, but couldn't because there was always some family crisis requiring my attention and money. The irony isn't lost on me. They always said I wasn't engaged, wasn't present, wasn't contributing enough to the relationship. Turns out I was contributing too much. To people who saw me as a resource instead of a person. My phone buzzes with a text from a new number. Probably her, trying one more manipulation. But I don't even read it. Just delete it and go back to planning my trip. Because pretending is over. For all of us. And I've never felt more free in my life.